if you think back to it though, like where it was 15 years before that, where like rock radio was Def Leppard and pop radio was Def Leppard, it's like,
Right, right.
why we got all these lines in the sand? But I love the blurriness of it now. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I had to reschedule on you last week. It's been
it's all good.
So many moving parts right now, but it's good to see you.
Great to see you as well. I love the new record. I was just listening to it again.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, real on the record, there's the voice that comes in, the P break, obviously, and then the public service announcement. That sounds remarkably like Morgan Freeman. Who does the voice of that?
A guy on Fiverr for about $38.
Are you serious? That's so awesome.
Yeah, I use Fiverr for everything, man. It's a magical place.
It really is. I mean, the things that people will do for $5 is incredible.
It's pretty cool.
Rad. Well, I'm Adam, and this podcast is about you, and just a brief background of your journey in music, and then we'll talk about the new record a little bit.
Sounds great.
Cool. So I guess first off, you're born and raised in Texas. Is that what I read?
Yeah, born and raised, born in Grapevine, raised in Wichita Falls, and then moved down to Denton after we started the band, and still here. Don't really have any plans to go anywhere.
Okay. Did the band officially start in Denton?
So we started in Wichita Falls and really couldn't find an audience there. It's a really small town, and it's pretty much, it's very cliquey. But we found an audience very quickly in Denton coming down here to play. So it was pretty obvious that there was something with that town and us. And it's definitely a relationship that still continues today.
That's amazing. And how did you originally get into music? Musical family at all?
No, I mean, ish. I mean, they listened to music a lot. My house and in the car, we spent a lot of time in the car back then, and so there's always music playing. And so for that, definitely exposed to that. My brother listened to a lot of music. My mom would play piano every once in a while, but it wasn't something that she didn't do it for a living or pursue it as a career or anything. And honestly, man, it's a funny story now because it hits so differently than it did when I would first tell the story. But I was in the 6th grade, and a kid brought a Walkman to school, and I heard Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train for the first time, and it absolutely changed my life. Like, I'll never forget it. And I didn't know what Ozzy sounded like. All I knew was he was the Prince of Darkness, and he bit the head off of a bat and had people kill puppies, and all this stuff.
All the horrible things
he was just this
people made up about him.
Yeah, man. And that's all you knew back then, and there was no real grasp on reality because we didn't have social media or anything. So it's just the legend of Ozzy is what I knew. And so it's pretty funny to tell that story now when, like, I last summer, or I guess 2 summers ago, when the new Trolls movie came out.
Oh yeah.
My son and his friends are jumping on the trampoline, all singing Crazy Train. And I was just like, gosh, what an interesting juxtaposition this is of, like,
for sure,
me discovering music through him and just being this. And I was like, I was a rebel, and I had long hair and I wore Ozzy Osbourne shirts. And now, you hear Crazy Train at every sporting event, including kids' sporting events. And there's my 7-year-old on the trampoline with his friends singing it. So, but it had that kind of impact on me. And I got that album, and I got Bark at the Moon and Shout at the Devil from Motley Crue on the same day. And
oh, there you go.
Music was just so big and cartoony and crazy back then. It was, the original hip hop, because everything was extravagant, and Motley Crue rolling down the Sunset Strip in a limousine with a hot tub in it.
Sure.
That's crazy. So I just kind of had the fever, and that's really what started. I got a drum set for Christmas that year. And
so you started off on drums?
Yeah, I started off on drums. It's a pretty interesting thing if you look at, like, the amount of frontmen that start out on drums. We were just touring with Lit, and AJ was a drummer first, but Steven Tyler and Don Henley and Stacey Jones from American Hi-Fi, and he's a huge.
Stacey Jones got his real. I mean, he was he still is like a legit working drummer.
Yeah,
It's
he's
crazy.
such a good drummer. It's crazy that, yeah, I mean, he's in Miley Cyrus's band, and
Yeah.
he was in Letters to Cleo and
Letters Cleo, yeah.
but it's crazy how many drummers start out as drummers, and then I guess there's just some sort of a pull, for maybe it's more attention. I don't know. I never met a microphone I didn't like, man. I anytime we walk in somewhere and there's someone on a microphone, my tour manager will just look at me and just go, oh God, because at some point I'm going to be on that microphone.
So as a drummer, were you in bands as a drummer, and then eventually you were like, I want to learn guitar and kind of write songs?
Uh, yes.
Okay.
So I was a drummer and played drums in school. So I was in marching band and in
Oh,
orchestra
cool.
and all of that. And so I played the snare drum in the marching band. I played the timpani in the orchestra and the symphonic band. And then, yeah, I mean, honestly, what first happened is we couldn't find a singer. And I had kind of sang and played drums on a song or two here and there. And I was like, I mean, I could pull, I mean, we're still doing it for fun at the time. So I was just like,
Mhm.
I can pull this off. And
You weren't Bowling for Soup yet. It was just like a
no,
high
no,
school
no.
band or something.
We were a metal band called Terminal Seasons.
Okay.
And we were very heavy. And we were doing Testament and Obituary covers and Slayer and that
Oh,
kind of
rad.
thing. And but we had a bunch of friends that could play bass, and our bass player could play drums. So we just kind of switched around, and that was that. And then nobody wanted to write songs. And so the second time my life was absolutely changed for the better was when I heard the Descendants. This kid that I met in college, my freshman year, played me the Descendants, and I was just like, whoa, like they're playing fast and but he can really sing, and they're singing about farts and girls, and like I know about those things because writing a metal song you had to have like a medical dictionary to be able to even
Right.
so I was just I was so like wow, it's just that it was a complete 180 for me of just like, man, I'm going to do this. And I could play the guitar parts for a lot of the, because early Green Day at that point, like
Mm-hmm.
Kerplunk days. And then Screeching Weasel is my other favorite band. And
Oh,
like,
I love that band so
I
much.
like Screeching Weasel because I could play the guitar solos and I had never even played guitar before. So like,
Those are cool riffs, though. I
yeah,
mean, the
they
riffs are
are
so good with Screeching Weasel. I
so
love that
good.
band.
Oh, so great. And I mean, the songwriting is actually really stellar for how simple those songs are.
Mm-hmm. And his lyrics are so clever. Like,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
so clever. No,
Yeah.
so are yours, by the way. I
Well,
mean,
thank
it's
you,
just,
man.
yeah, like even I'm listening to the new record, and obviously it's just you guys. I mean,
Yeah, it's
like,
just
just like
us. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how to put it another way, but like, you hear the record, you're like, this is awesome. This sounds like a great Bowling for Soup record.
It's just a Bowling for Soup record. Yeah, man. It's but yeah, that's pretty much it. I started a band with that kid that played me the Descendants thing. We were together 2 years, and the drummer of that band and myself went on to start Bowling for Soup. And
So you were in college at that point when the band
yeah,
started?
I
Okay.
was in college when, and I just finishing college actually when Bowling for Soup started. So me and Chris were just graduating with in summer '94, and that's when Bowling for Soup started out. So
Wow.
it was yeah, it was.
What were you going to school for, if you don't mind me
I went
asking?
to school for marketing and psychology.
Okay. Well, did you have like a career path that you were aiming for?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to be a corporate psychologist, and I wanted to do like not only just the marketing side, but I really wanted to be sort of in the HR side of like for big corporations being able to do drug and alcohol counseling and things like that. And it was a big picture kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation. But that was
Yeah.
sort of my idea.
That's cool. That is really cool. And then the band starts, and then like, how do you go all in on the band? Like, you graduate college, is it like, okay, like when do you just go, I'm not going to
Yeah.
really pursue the corporate gig?
Yeah. 96, we were playing a show in Abilene, Texas. We were opening up for this band called The Hunger. And it was huge. It was at like the city Coliseum, and there's like 4,000 people there, and everybody's sweating and they're singing our songs to us. They already
Oh,
knew everything.
wow.
because we
So
had
it's
worked
pretty
out.
quick then. I mean, not
Well,
quick, but like for that sense of the band.
we worked really hard. You know, we went in guns ablazing. I mean, we started in June '94. We played our first show July '94. We had our first album out by September '94, and we released 2 albums in 1996. So we were going guns ablazing, and so had already kind of established a good following in a lot of these small towns here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But after that show, you know, I just said to the guys, I was like, you know, I think I got my finger on this thing. I think I know what to do. I think we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we released our fourth independent album, and then we got signed to Jive in '99 and stayed with them for 9 years.
When you get signed to a major, I mean, you signed to Jive, a major label, like what was that like? Like, is it just like, okay, it's finally happening? But I mean, you had 4 records out.
Yeah, it was a very big wake up call in that it's not like what you thought it was going to be. It wasn't like, oh my God, now all of our financial problems are solved and, you know, millions of dollars. Basically, we got enough to make our album, and enough to pay off all the credit cards we had run up touring around. You know, it was 21 grand in credit cards we had, and nobody took any money. It was all, you know, that was it. And then it was a matter of like, oh, okay, so now you guys got to go play all these radio shows and all this stuff, only you're not going to get paid. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
we're making less money on a label than we were selling, because, you know, we were selling 10, I'll see, one album we sold 10,000 copies out of the back of our band, but one of them
That's
20,000.
crazy. I mean,
We sold 20,000 copies of Rock on Honorable Ones out the back of our van just touring.
oh
So
my
that's
gosh.
pretty good. We were making decent cash as far as like just survival was concerned.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Well, at
but
that point, like you signed the label and you're making less money, are you guys thinking like, we were selling a ton of records out of our car. Like, did we make the wrong decision here, or was that never even a thought?
it was never really a thought because, you know, there was really, you know, the DIY wasn't as clear as it is today. You know, there was no
Mhm.
real way to like get a video out there or anything like
Right.
that, you know, like
Or
so.
get in a, whatever, blockbuster music, or I'm just trying to think of
Sure,
some
like
like
to get
in
into
Tower
stuff.
Records or something.
You could do it. I mean, and we did. I mean, you could get with distribution companies that get your albums into places, and we were doing that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is definitely not the same. I mean, there were things that, you know, that we were getting. It never really was there a time where, I mean, it definitely, we would look at it and go, man, I did not expect this to be this way and there to be like no money, but never were we like, you know, fuck this, you know, like
Right.
it
Right.
was
I
more
can't
about
believe
like,
we're playing
hey,
these radio shows. Like, what is
yeah, it was really
happening?
more about just like, we're obviously not working hard enough. So let's just keep working harder, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, and then, you know, second record, we had a hit, and, you know, things changed pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, so you obviously have a massive song on that record, and then when that happens, is it just like shows are getting bigger, like especially at that time, right?
Well,
It,
it's 2 years
was
on airplanes after that. So when Girl the Bad Guys Want was a pop hit, it changed the scope of everything because we had been working the bitch song and the songs off of Let's Do It for Johnny, which was our first Jive
uh-huh.
record.
Which did
We,
well. I mean,
I mean,
it's
we
so.
18,000, I think,
I
you
mean,
know,
that's so, now that'd be like the #1 record on the charts.
100%, right? I know, and it was considered a flop, right?
It's
Um,
crazy.
it didn't do all that well, but it did well in the UK.
Mhm.
And so, but everything was being worked to rock radio. We were on a metal label in the UK, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, Girl the Bad Guys went pop. Well, everything changed at that point because, you know, the radio shows were way different, way bigger, you know, and that's where the label wanted us all the time. So, but the good thing is that since we had a hit, we started to actually get paid. So we could actually, you know, pay our bills and
Mhm.
do these things or whatever. And they were paying for the flights. And so, yeah, it's a lot of, you know, you think flying might sound more glamorous to people than the tour bus or at the time for us, the van. It's not. It's brutal. I mean, getting on and off airplanes every single day for 2 years is brutal. And so, you know, but I mean, and I try to explain to people like how much we flew. And here's the way that I can put it in perspective where everybody would understand it. I had the equivalent of platinum status on 4 airlines. Like,
Oh man,
I mean, that's how much we flew. Yeah,
that's so
Delta,
nuts.
United, Continental, which doesn't exist anymore, and American.
Right.
And we had
Oh
status on
wow.
every single one of them. So it was just that insane.
So you're just flying with the different countries constantly, or different cities in
Cities,
radio shows?
yeah,
Okay.
radio shows. And most of the time it was the same acts. It was like us and Simple Plan would be the only bands that weren't singing to track. And then it'd
Oh
be
wow.
Chingy and,
Oh sure.
you know,
I came from radio. I did radio for like 17 years. I remember like seeing like Simple Plan and you guys kind of do that crossover. I was like,
yeah,
whoa. And
yeah.
now it's a lot different in that world. Obviously, the band will sit on alternative radio, and then if you're Portugal the Man or like Glass Animals, you'll get that one jump over to top 40 radio. But
Yeah. Yeah.
seeing like you guys on those bills was just like, wait, what?
Yeah, it was really interesting too, because there were only a handful of us that did it. It was us, Simple Plan, All American Rejects, probably Good Charlotte.
Yeah, Good Charlotte had some hits
But
on it. Yeah.
even really, I mean, and then Blink-182 was sort of like teetering both, at the time. But it's for us and Simple Plan and All American Rejects is very much like, for a while, once we crossed the pop, the gates weren't opening back up the other way. So it was just like, you guys are just a pop band now. And it's kind of a bummer from the punk rock side of things, but the way that you earn your way back into that is longevity. And now it's like, we don't take any shit off anybody. It's like we are what we are. We all have our successes where we have them.
Right. That's interesting you say, because I interviewed Pierre like right before the pandemic, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, do you feel like, he's like, I feel like when we crossed over and we were being played on like Kiss FM and stuff, like it was hard to jump. Like if we put out a more rock record, like it was hard to convince like the alternative stations that we're a cool band to like, give us another shot.
You're not going to do it. It wasn't going to happen back then. That was not even it was never even a thought for us, was that, oh, we'll go back to
right.
pop. It was just like, this kind of music is pop now, so this is what we do, that kind of thing. But yeah, and it's, he and I and Chuck and my guys have talked a lot about that, and in the past. And at first I think it would sort of hurt your feelings, where you're just like, dude, I mean, this rock station, we did a bunch of stuff together, like, why do you not love me anymore? And it's like, hey, there was just this element in radio, especially then, where once you went pop, you are 100% not cool enough to come back over here, because the guys in the pool hall don't want anything to do with your sissy music,
Right. Yeah.
Like,
and the lines are so blurred now, which I love. I mean, you look at
what's funny is too,
Coachella lineup, you're like, huh.
If you think back to it though, like where it was 15 years before that, where like rock radio was Def Leppard and pop radio was Def Leppard, it's like,
right.
Why we got all these lines in the sand? But I love the blurriness of it now.
So do I.
I like the blurriness of it in my own genre. I mean, just even people will be like, what do you think about the MGK, the Mod Sun thing, Avril Lavigne being like back up and being considered pop punk and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, all I can tell you is it's good for the genre. The genre is killing right now. Our streams are all up. Everybody's coming to our shows. So
I love it.
Why not, man? Why not support it? The only reason he did it, the only reason MGK did this, it definitely didn't, in my opinion, I don't think he thought to himself, I'm going to go make all the money. I think he thought, I really like this music, and John Feldman and Travis Barker want to be on a record with me, and I can't fucking believe that. That's crazy. I'm going to go do it.
Right.
And he did it, and good for him.
No, dude, I completely agree. And I love to see the resurgence in pop punk and like the emo bands and like the We Were Young Fest and all this stuff that's happening. And it's like, whoa, like that's what I was loving and I grew up on, and like to see it kind of come back and make the second wave is so rad.
Yeah.
And like bands like Mod Sun and like you said, MGK, like just seeing these bands kind of come up, and it's like, whoa, like this is so rad that kids, younger generations of kids are now like appreciating that. And I'm sure you guys, obviously you said with the streaming and everything, like that's so awesome, and shows.
Yeah. And also, we got veterans that are doing things too. I mean, All Time Low just had that song Monster that was on,
oh yeah,
I think it was the biggest song like in the history of it broke some sort of radio record.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it
Or
had like Demi Lovato like had a verse on it at one
yeah,
point, and like,
dude,
yeah.
big song, man. And that's again, it's all good, man. I never hate. I just congratulate.
I love that. Well, you guys, I mean, you've been doing this band for nearly what, 30 years
Yeah,
ish.
28 years. Yeah.
That's, and the newest record, you just put it out. Like, were you working like what? I know you have a lot of other projects and other things going on, but like, so say the pandemic hits, like when did you start working on this record? Was it new-ish? Because like the one before was 2016.
Yeah, no, we had no plans to do an album. We in fact we were just going to be singles only, and be a single, do a single, do a video, do a single, do a video. Do a single, get it up to 1 million on YouTube, go do another one. But the pandemic hit, and we thrive being together. We're best friends, we're family, and so honestly, after a few months of it being like, dude, when are we all going to hang out? And nothing in sight, no shows. What's the best way we could all go somewhere and hang out together for a while? Let's go do an album, like, why not? We'll just go. So we got in a tour bus. We went up to the Poconos. Everybody COVID tested. We got in a tour bus. We went up to Poconos. We got an Airbnb and a studio where we were completely private. And we locked ourselves in those two things and created our own little bubble. And we made an album. But yeah, there's no, and I think that's, in talking about this record so much over the last, several months, it's obvious to me now that why the album is so reflective, like Wouldn't Change a Thing and Getting Old Sucks and After All These Beers and Greatest of All Time,
Yeah.
where there's so much talk of like our accomplishments and, how much we love each other and how much we love our fans and just being in the band and what we've done. And this is funny and this is funny and whatever. I think that's just what the vibe was. Cause it was like, dude, like this, we're special enough to each other to just fucking drop everything and go somewhere for a couple of weeks to make a record that we had zero. I mean, our management didn't even know we were doing it. We were hey, where are you guys? Oh, we're in the Poconos.
We're making a record.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What are you doing again? Yeah, we're making an album, And so yeah, very, very happy with the way that it came out too.
To hear you say that, it was like, you guys all getting back together, and like you can hear now it's all clicking as far as like me listening to the record, and like it's almost like there's so many like reflective, like reminiscing moments in the album that you're talking about, and like you talk about like the naked photo from a magazine, and then it comes back later, and you guys are doing it, or like the
right.
And then there's like I forgot what song it is. There's like a breakdown, and it just like I heard the breakdown, and you're talking, and it just like it took me back to like Warped Tour, like seeing you at Warped Tour. Like I can't remember what song it was. Maybe it was I don't know, but do you know what I'm talking about? Like it stops, and you're kind of like you're talking in the breakdown part.
And then the story that you're referring to is actually a very true story, and I don't mind saying it was Kerrang! Magazine.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to throw anyone under the bus.
Our relationship with them is still great.
Okay.
They've been nothing but amazing to us. But yeah, they sent someone down. They were just like, hey, we want to do just some kind of crazy photo shoot or whatever. So we took naked pictures in my kitchen, which happened to be yellow. And it's just like us naked in my kitchen with just food everywhere and all over us and stuff. And then you fast forward, I don't know, 15 years or so. And they elected us the second stupidest band of all time, in between Slipknot and Motley Crue, which is great for me.
Right.
And one of the reasons that was cited was these guys did naked photos in their kitchen or whatever. It's like, we did that for you guys.
Yeah, your magazine.
Anyway, so that's what I talk about in that song. It's a true story.
That's so funny. Yeah, I love the record. And then you have the Alexa Bliss and the song about June Carter. Like all those are all like. I'm digging the album, man. Like, and like I said, it just sounds like you guys were just kind of. Was it one of those things where you're all hanging out and just kind of like reminiscing on old times and like, oh, we should write something down, right? Like, is that kind of how the record came together?
Well, I wrote it before we went, and so
I really,
the guys, whenever we were there, and so I wrote about half of it, sitting in here, and then another several songs I wrote with Linus of Hollywood, who co-produces everything with me and co-writes a lot of BFS and other project stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then one was Zach Malloy, who ended up co-writing my entire country record and producing that for me.
Oh, wow.
And so, but the rest of it, again, all of that was done here in the 2 months leading up to going, and just getting there and being like, yeah, I got a full album here, guys. Like, here's the songs that we're going to record. So, but yeah, again, a lot of it coming off of the fact that, we were in such a good place, and it's such a triumphant point in our career where our audiences are still getting bigger and all of that. And we just had some really successful tours. And then all of a sudden, hey, you guys are just going to chill for a couple of years. And so, I think that's where, being able to just shout it out from the rooftops of like, the way that I feel about our band and that, it just made sense.
I love it, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Dude, thank you. Anytime, man. I really appreciate the questions and stuff, dude. I thank you.
I have one more quick one for you before I let you go.
All right.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Yeah. And then they all hate it when I say this. Everybody wants to jump into the van and go and do it old school. And unfortunately, that's just not the way of the world anymore. We're 20 years out of that. Got to build the socials. And I know you get sick of hearing it, but that's the way, that's the new getting in the van. So surround yourself with good people who not only have, the same musical interest in you, but people who sort of live the same way as you as well, because, as things get busier and busier, you spend a lot of time with these folks. Bring it back.